I'd like to start with you, Kate, if I may, because you were right there on the ground. We'll play out a little clip in a moment from now. But what I was very intrigued by was a video you did on the nature of politics and the divisions they've caused in your country, and how you actually think a difference in political opinion is a good thing. But what happened in Capitol Hill was not about that, and where that actually leaves America today, when really it seems as if we're now in the hands of companies like Twitter and Facebook to determine where America will go from here, and also how big tech actually amplifies these political polarities that you've been speaking about.
I think it's important to note that you said that the political polarization is at an extremely high level right now, but it didn't start with Trump. The United States has been increasingly polarized for years, and we are now in a state where it's not just political tribalism, it's political sectarianism. And that is a situation where your group hates the other group more than you love your own. So the Republican members of the Republican Party hate the Democrats more than they love the Republicans. People act out of spite or hate for another group because they think they're an existential threat. That's very dangerous. And as you mentioned, one of the reasons that we're here is because of the media environment. And I don't mean that journalists are the enemy of the people, as Trump has said, but that we have extremely siloed information environments where if you are on the right, you can consume all information that supports your worldview. If you're on the left, you can do the same. And in the middle of that, we also have a plethora of conspiracy theories and misinformation sites that people believe to be authoritative and true that are really just trading in lies. And what this president has done is taken advantage of a very murky, very confusing information environment and elevated to the point of what many of his supporters feel legitimacy of misinformation. I mean, these are tactics that foreign countries use to try to sow discord and dissent in other countries.
Yeah, I'm going to, in a moment from now, call for the video or an excerpt of the video that you produced on the ground. But if you had to sum up what you saw on the ground, if you had to define the sort of rioters, I don't want to call them protesters. I think language matters. If you were to define the rioters, could you recognize in them the kind of people you know? Because one of the things that people are debating all across the world is that, look, is your political opponent someone you can recognize, have a conversation with? Now, clearly these rioters were not. But if you had to sum them up, if you had to define them, what would be the words you deploy to define them?
I think for the most extreme people that were out there, I think they were delusional. I think it's an aggressive word to use, but some of these people so firmly believe that the election was stolen. They feel that that members of Congress, that state officials across the country, that judges in this country are essentially performing a coup against the president. They truly believe that. They also truly believe that journalists are a threat to them and to democracy. And they weren't just saying words. The level of vitriol suggested that they believe that. And so could I see a neighbor in them, for example? Yeah. I mean, at the same time that people were screaming and threatening, you also, if you were just walking down the street and bumped into them, it was really crowded, people bump into each other, people would say, oh, I'm sorry, are you okay? I dropped my water bottle. A man picked it up for me and said, here you go. So, there is an aggression that takes over people. But inside there's also the guy next door.
Yeah, actually, it's the nature of mobs everywhere. I mean, I've seen this in riots I've reported in India, and I remember having to run away from one particular mob, and then someone from the mob, within the mob, actually helped me run away. So this is actually, I think, the kind of contradiction of mob violence. I want to just take a look. What I'm going to do in this program is actually get Dan, Kate, and Femi to respond very quickly in the beginning, because I think they have a kind of on-ground perspective, and then we'll open it up for everybody. Can we just take a little look at the video that Kate produced on the ground for Washington Post? And
what agency are y'all with? What news company are you with?
We're the Washington Post.
With the Washington? Get the out of here! Yeah, get the out of here! Move your shit in your line. How many more people have to die? Huh? How many more people got to die? All the lies you've told all this time, that's what made this happen. A lady died because of your lies.
They mace innocent people.
Why don't you tell the truth? Ever consider telling the truth? Huh? Have you ever thought about it? How do you feel going to work every day? Destroying these people's lives?
And you guys...
Are you proud of your self?
Okay.
You.
Trump.
Okay, that hatred, that hostility for mainstream media is the nature of actually pretty much public discourse everywhere. I'm not saying it always takes the form of the violence and the riots that we saw at Capitol Hill, Kate, but when you were confronted with that level of hate, so I face this kind of language almost every day on social media platforms, but there's an assumption that it won't actually spill over into the real world. When you were confronted with this, what is the first thing you thought? Because the media was clearly the enemy. We saw other images where anti-media slogans were posted as graffiti across the walls of the Senate. What went through your head? Because this has become as much a debate about media, the nature of information, fake news versus authentic news, and how that feeds delusions, as it has become a debate about politics. Kate, quickly, then I want to open it up.
I just kept thinking, stay calm, don't interact, don't provoke. Normally I like to ask, what are you thinking? What are you feeling? What are you experiencing? And in this moment, I just thought, don't fully engage. This was not long after people broke into the Capitol building. And so people were feeling extraordinarily emboldened and like they could essentially do anything. And so this went on for 5 minutes. More people surrounded me. Once they saw that guy coming, more came.